I ran my sander over the epoxy and it made the epoxy a little bit warm and it's easier to scrape off with the scraper. I take a pencil and mark lines across the slab. This is when I'm sanding so I know which areas I sanded and which areas I didn't. For example, if I go take a break for a second and then I can come back and start exactly where I left off. Part of this slab was cut with a chainsaw because it was a fork in the tree, so I tried to power carve, try to make it more of a natural look to match the live edge. I give the edges an 1/8 inch round over to take the sharpness off of them. This is called raising the grain. I spread water on the slab. I do this in between each sanding grit. This makes it a nice smooth finish. I sand the slabs all the way up to 180 grit. I wipe it down with mineral and spirits to get all the dust off. For the finish, I am using Rubio Monocoat, and it's easy to use these syringes to put it in the mixing cup. And it also comes with this accelerator so the finish cures quicker. I spread the Rubio around, and then after a few minutes, wipe off any extra. Some of the spots where I had filled in the cracks with epoxy stained, and this does not look good. I was not happy the way this turned out. Unfortunately, I had to take the slab to a large commercial wood shop and they sent it through a planer sander they had, and I did refinish it all over again. Now it's time to start the base. These are going to be the leg pieces that go from the floor to the slab. I glued them all together at once using the same clamps to be more efficient, but I made sure not to glue each leg together. These are going to be the pieces that connect the legs together and they're going to interlock, so I mark the thickness of the legs so I know how far to stick the piece out, if that makes sense. I need all the pieces to be square and the exact same size, so I join one side on the jointer and then take them over the planer to get them all the exact same size. For the pieces I want to be the same length, I use a stop block and then cut them with my miter saw. The parts of the base that bolt against the slab have an angle cross piece, and I'm using my miter saw to make a notch to fit that piece. This base is going to be detachable in pieces to make for easier transportation, so I'm adding some wood screws here, and this will also help me while I'm building the base. Where the bottom parts come together, I am adding a hole for a bolt and threaded inserts, and I drill them at the same time, not all the way through, so now I have holes and use a bigger drill bit for my threaded insert. I think it's easier to screw the threaded insert in and then unscrew it and then put the glue on. Here I'm lining the pieces up and just marking out for the dominoes. I don't always do a dry fit, but for this project I wanted to make sure everything lined up, and I also wanted to put blue tape on so the glue wouldn't stain the wood. I applied glue to both surfaces just to make sure I had plenty of glue. I put a spacer in between to help keep everything square, and then I clamped everything up. I found out it's easier to remove the tape as soon as possible before the glue dries. This piece goes in between the two parts of the base, and I simply just tacked it with a brad nailer while the glue dries. This piece goes on the bottom, which connects both parts of the bases, and I'm doing it upside down here, so this part will actually be against the floor. Someone in the comments suggested that I do the countersink before I do the hole, And I tried this and it actually worked a lot smoother because before I did the countersink after I did the hole and it kind of chewed up the edges. I used a wire brush on a drill because the customer wanted it to be more of a weathered look. I used to use a shop towel to do my staining, but I tried a staining pad and it is a lot better. I let the stain soak in for a few minutes and then wipe off any extra. I am putting some levelers on this base because unfortunately all floors are not flat and level. I am using some Total Boat Gleam to protect this base. If it's good for a boat, I would think it's good for a table base. Now it's time for the final assembly to make sure everything looks good. I will be honest, there were multiple times throughout this project that I wish I would have never taken it on, but I learned a lot and it challenged me, and I believe challenging myself to help me grow in my business.